Welcome to another episode of the Move.Talk.Thrive podcast. I am really excited to bring this conversation to you today. So, originally, how this came about was I was reviewing my team meetings and all my meetings in my schedule, and I was talking to Emily, and she started to talk through what she had learned about meetings and what she does in her business. And we thought, why don't we hold this conversation, pause on where we were at, and just pick this up in a podcast to bring to you so you can learn from our conversation as well. So I hope you enjoy learning all about our meetings and what we have learned over the years in business.
We are child development obsessed business besties and mums, and we're here to spill all our secrets.
We have a combined 30 years experience working with children, and each episode we will bring you up-to-date research and evidence-based strategies to set your children up to thrive.
I'm Lizzie Dawson, Australian exercise physiologist.
I'm Emily Mackey, Australian speech pathologist,
And this is the Move.Talk.Thrive podcast.
Hey, Em, how are you?
Hi, Lizzie. Good. Oh yeah.
What's been happening?
What's been happening? Family-wise, we've been enjoying ourselves living on the coast, particularly over
so
summer.
good.
It's been so good. We have gone from like living in Penrith, which is just hot and bush, to such a coastal lifestyle. We're loving it. We're using our pool every single day. The girls are swimming so much. We're going to the beach. Friday, Arvo, we just went to the beach after dinner, just had a little walk. So relaxing. So
Oh, so
the mind
nice.
and the body, the soul,
Yeah,
so good. What about you?
that is awesome. And you just got your pool, didn't you?
Yeah, just before Christmas. It literally finished a week before Christmas. I had the furniture delivered on the 23rd. Everyone showed up on the 24th.
Everyone wants to be your friend when you've got a pool.
Everyone has loved it. And the water has been so warm. Like we don't have the heater on or anything. So
Yeah.
absolutely everybody gets in because they're like, this is so nice. This is so relaxing. Like it's not like an ice bath.
Yeah, that's amazing. And is it magnesium or chlorine?
We know we have magnesium, but we have the naked system. So it's been so low maintenance. Because
Yeah.
you were telling me with your pool, like it's a bit of a drag to maintain it, but it's been so
Well,
easy. We've barely had to do anything.
oh, that's good. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because it's the
So
naked system that
I
does
don't know what the naked system is, but Pete would laugh that I said that ours was challenging because I don't actually touch it. He does everything. But I think because we originally didn't think we needed to get a pool cleaner, which was really silly. And we were scooping all the leaves out, and we live on a reserve which had a million leaves. So our cleaner's on every day. So it's pretty low maintenance from my perspective, but I don't know, Pete might say something else.
he's always scooping the leaves and things like that, is he? It's
I'm always like, did you put the cleaner on today? There's leaves in the pool.
Yeah, I'm always saying that to Mackie too, like because it's caught us a few times where we've had people come over and I'm like, whoops, we haven't taken the cover off. And when you take the cover off, all the dirt goes in. So I'm like, it needs to clean a bit. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
whoopsie daisy. Anyway,
Yes.
live and learn, right? We've never had a coastal lifestyle before, so we're just adapting to how
Yeah.
things go. But it's such a nice change of pace living on the Central Coast.
Is it?
Sydney's very busy, like Western Sydney from where we were.
Yeah.
Central Coast is busy, but has nothing on Sydney.
Yeah.
It's really nice like with work, I'm trying to work even better this year, not be in the rat race. And it's just been a very good change for that, I feel.
Yeah, amazing. Like living to your values. So you're happy you did it because it's a big move.
Yeah, it is a big move. I was talking to a coaching client today, and I was just like saying to her, it's all the little things that you don't think about,
Yeah.
that you can't foresee that make it really difficult. Plus, you add kids, plus you add business in, and renovations, and timelines and deadlines. But it's like all the little emotional taxing things like, oh, I've got to make new friends. I've got to find new routines. I don't know my way anywhere. It's all new. But we're
Yeah.
feeling like we're starting to get a bit more settled, which is good.
Yeah.
But then
How long's it
people,
been now?
maybe like 8 months.
Mm,
People that have made big changes before, they are like, give it like 1 to 2 years.
yeah.
Like it's just time, right?
Mm.
There we hang on. But yeah, how about you? What are you up to?
Oh, what am I up to? What am I not up to? I feel like I have really hit the ground running this year, but I feel really clear and determined to, yeah, just it's been busy. So I've had Marley, my little one, start prep, and Flinny go into grade 2. That has been fairly like seamless, like no major issues apart from a bit of fatigue.
Mm.
But yeah, like that's been quite easy and really like feeling light, like a load's been lifted just because they're in the same place. I feel like they've both just stepped into a bit more independence. So yeah, that's been really good. Socially, I've been really busy. I've had lots of social outings, which has been really fun. I have just entered New York Marathon. So yeah,
Congratulations.
so I'm very excited about that. I've been working quite, I wouldn't say hard, but consistently over the last 12 months just to get my running back. So for anyone that doesn't know, I did an Ironman triathlon in 2014. So I was really into endurance exercise. Then I had the stroke. I did not do it, did not do any endurance training, then went straight into babies. And I'm just kind of coming back into myself, I feel like, in my fitness journey. So that's been really good. So we've committed to, so it's the 10-year anniversary of my stroke, pretty much to the day or 2 days before on the New York Marathon. So
Wow.
yeah, I'm
When
kind of
is
like
that?
celebrating it, and like proving to myself that I can do exercise, like do this endurance events that I've always loved, and look after myself. So yeah,
Mm.
so I've been training as well, which has been, I've really enjoyed that. So yeah, did a long run on Sunday, felt really good, have recovered really well. I'm a bit tired. But I think that's probably more just from the pace of work. Work has just been go, go, go. Lots of growth happening at the moment. So all very exciting. It's all good.
That's so good. Congratulations. I should know the anniversary of your stroke. Is it September? No,
November the 4th.
November.
Yeah.
So you've still got a bit of the year left to train. And so the New
Yeah.
York Marathon is at 40 Ks.
42. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh, we're all going to be cheering you on, like
Yeah.
from social media. And are you going to take the whole family?
That is the plan right now. So yeah, so we were gonna, yeah, we were kind of umming and ahhing, but I want to, because we were actually supposed to go to New York in 2015 for Christmas, and we cancelled it because I had the stroke and I was just really, really anxious. So we didn't go, and we were like, okay, we'll go next year, and next year never came. So we're like, right, we're going to go to New York. We'll do the States, 10-year anniversary of the stroke, do the marathon. And yeah, we're planning on taking the kids. We're looking at booking flights soon. So
How
yeah,
exciting. That is
yeah, should be
so
good.
exciting. Well done. You're such an inspiration.
Oh,
So
thank you.
good.
Yeah,
So
no, it'll be
good.
fun. Bucket
And
list. So pretty
yeah,
cool.
that's amazing to kick the strokes butt.
Exactly. Yeah. But doing it in a really like, I feel like when I had the stroke, it really stopped me in my tracks and I didn't feel like I was living aligned to my values. Like I was just going too fast. So I want to be able to do that and do the business stuff that I'm doing, but still stay really grounded in my values. Which, yeah, so I'm kind of doing it in a new sort of way,
Good.
in a 10-year new and improved version of myself. So
Oh, that is so good. What an inspiration to everyone. We could just stop the podcast episode right there, right?
no, we cannot because I
That
want
is
to
your
talk about
lesson for today,
meetings.
everyone. But it's
I want to talk
steadiness
about
and
meetings.
consistency. Oh yes, we'll talk about meetings. All right. So do you want to kick it off? Because you were the one that was asking about
Yeah, so
kinds of
I
things.
think as I said in the intro, what I wanted to really do with this session, which we've kind of just started doing, was give people a bit of an insight on just how we talk about things. And we started talking about meetings because I can't remember. I think I was setting out my meetings last year and I was maybe struggling with some meetings and I must have said something to you and you're like, right, we need to sit down and go over your meetings. We need to like get them all systemized. Now I have kind of gone off and done a lot of it myself because we were waiting to record the episode, we haven't actually had the conversation. But I thought, let's have the conversation. And so yeah, share with everyone how we would actually unpack this with
How we
each
do
other.
meetings. Yeah. Well, first of all, I was thinking back to my early days as a speechy, right? So in my first job, we barely had any meetings at all. When we did, it was an ad hoc meeting in our lunchtime called like I'd get out of clients and it would be like today is a meeting. And so then it would sort of be very ad hoc in the reception and not great
Yeah.
those meetings. My
Yeah.
second job was at community health, and that was the complete opposite. There was a meeting for everything
Oh,
under the
no.
sun, and I felt like my entire day was taken up with meetings. I would say probably 70% of those meetings were like about OH&S, how to wash your hands, what do you do if someone vomits on you, like so unproductive things. I
Yeah.
remember sitting there in those meetings feeling so dissatisfied with my job and my role. And I think from those two jobs, I then had another job where there was no meetings at all, ever. And I was like, what's happening? And I would sort of like email the director sometimes and be like, can I have a meeting with you? And I sort of also then developed an understanding that you only have meetings if there was a serious problem. So meetings
Yeah.
are a positive thing. So when I started to speak about, I just had all this baggage around meetings.
Yeah.
I thought they were pointless, they were not productive. I kind of wanted to go with the minimal meetings if possible after coming from community health, trying to systemize on paper rather than face to face with people.
Yeah.
And then so I sort of did what I knew, in those early stages of business or even up until like the last 7 to 8 years, just what we knew as the company evolved with sort of set a meeting here, set a meeting there, and then try and have an agenda. However, everything changed, which is what I told you about when I grabbed Death by Meeting by Patrick Lencioni. And I think I must have read that 2 years ago now. And I thought, I cannot believe that I have not upskilled myself as a business owner on meetings. And I've been running a company for this long. And it's just such an essential element of work and productivity. And I thought, I don't think anyone talks about this. Like, and it's so important. So
Yeah.
it has the way that we run our meetings. Like, obviously, this is not the be all and end all. There's so many frameworks out there. And this framework has really worked for our company and for our leadership team. But this has revolutionized our productivity in the business, our time, our communication, our consistency. I cannot speak more highly of this model.
Yeah. Tell
Which
me,
is
tell
what I
me.
was telling you about. So again,
Yeah.
just to preface and saying this is what we use, you don't have to use this, even if you're a listener, you don't have to
Yeah.
use this. But I would encourage, the main point is do your due diligence on meetings, upskill yourself and learn.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the point from this.
Can I just like before you go on, let's
Yeah, what's
just
your experience with meetings?
well, I don't remember having meetings really in any of my positions. If we did, like you, it was in our lunch hour, which I like just now as a business owner, I feel like I would be eaten alive if I did that. If I put a meeting in the lunch hour, I don't know, like that's just my reaction to that.
Mhm.
And um and we used to have like clinical sort of meetings. But I was the only exercise physiologist in a team of dietitians. So it was not, I mean, I was interested in it, but yeah, I wouldn't say there were anything kind of super useful. And then my experience in running meetings myself, I think I haven't been consistent. And I actually don't like running meetings. It's really interesting. I feel them, I've always felt like it's been a really big energy zap. And I think it might have been because I had clinics in Queensland and New South Wales, I would be running a meeting, and this was before COVID, on Zoom with like my local team present and then my New South Wales team on Zoom. And I always felt like it was really disjointed, and I really had to work really hard to kind of get engagement. So I didn't actually enjoy it. And I wasn't getting out of it what I thought I could be getting out of it. So it wasn't probably until the last maybe 2 years I've been having consistent meetings, which have been helpful, I think. And like I said to you, I struggled a little bit with meetings last year. And I was like re-looking at it all. And I've read a few books. I'm trying to remember the name. There was one book, I think it was The Ultimate Sales Machine might have been it, but it was talking about meetings. And there's another book I can't remember, but it was talking about how running meetings and identifying pain points and then creating systems around it. So I've tried a few different things from a few different books, but I'm not set on a framework that is like really working for me. And I feel like I need a really clear agenda or framework like you're talking about. But I guess what I want to define is like what makes a bad meeting and what makes a good meeting.
Yeah. So a bad meeting looks like no engagement. Everyone is not excited to be there. Everyone is like, this is boring. Like, or just because that sort of opinion comes through body language and no engagement. There's no conflict, which conflict we've spoken about in previous episodes is no one brings their unique opinion. It's all unanimous. It's just like someone at the front of a room saying, let's do this, let's do this. Everyone goes, yep. It
It's not
basically,
collaborative.
no, it's basically dead. And it's
Yeah.
that's why you're saying death by meeting. It does
Yeah.
not include PowerPoints. It does not include slides. It does not include, well, you can, but it doesn't, it just, oh no, sorry, PowerPoints and slides would be included. Like that's what makes it dead because it's not open to collaboration. It's more like this is the information we're presenting.
Yeah.
Everyone then comes in, everyone then leaves the same way or not even worse than where they left off. People are
Yeah.
distracted. That would be the definition of a bad meeting. And so,
I was going to say, add to
yeah,
that is that people don't understand what the purpose of the meeting is. They're not coming out more enriched than what they entered.
yeah,
And another one that I've witnessed is that it's quite forced. Like when there's an agenda, but it's like you run through the agenda and it's just really, really forced. That was some feedback I've had recently in reflecting on some meetings that weren't working last year. And it was just that it was quite forced. It wasn't helpful. Like it wasn't productive. And
no,
so everyone's getting there early to do this meeting. And it was like, what is the point of these meetings?
that's exactly the definition of a bad meeting.
Yeah.
Which you
Yeah.
know that, right? So you're like, okay, let's change it. What can we do? As business owners, we don't need to sit in that and then just keep forcing everyone to do that. That's the power of being
Yeah.
a business owner. We do
Yeah.
due diligence and we change and pivot.
Yeah. So what is the definition or like what's the purpose of a good meeting? What's the purpose of a meeting?
So a good meeting looks like all the opposite of what I said. So there
Yes.
is conflict. Everybody brings their own opinion and voices. In our meetings, we have told our team, if you are silent, we automatically assume that you disagree with what we're saying.
Ah,
Everyone needs to
cool.
bring their own opinion, or they need to be vocal about consensus, like what they're agreeing with.
So if you are silent, we assume you disagree.
Hmm, yep. And if you have no opinion, you haven't listened or you're
Yeah.
not buying into what we're telling you. So then we need to work through, take it back a few steps and figure out why. Are you thinking this is not relevant? Have we as a leadership team missed something to you? Like it's just dissecting that. And that's the conflict that happens in the meeting. It looks like people excited to go to the meeting.
Mm.
And it looks like decisions are made in the meeting and the business is moved forward and it's productive. Um, it looks like connections, relationships, and everybody is clear about what is happening, why it's happening, the content, and everybody has buy-in. So that buy-in is really important in a team. So we're not just a bum on a seat. We all contribute to the vision of the company. So the vision for us at Speak About, our goal at Speak About is to help 300,000 children um, by 2030. But our vision, that's our goal. Our vision is to change a generation of children. So everyone has got that vision. And so they're bringing
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Um,
So I've just put something that I've been making sure, like as a bare minimum that I'm doing with my meetings at the moment, is that I've got like a set intention for the meeting so that there's actually a purpose for it.
mhm.
And then at the end of the meeting, I go over the main points. It's about like finishing really strongly for me.
Yep.
And something that I think I was not doing. So making sure that I'm going over the main points, I'm going over the action items, and then I follow it up with an email or like, yeah, documenting the main points. And we're really clear on what's happening in the next meeting and what needs to happen in between the meetings, so that
Mhm.
there's just like real clarity around that.
Mhm.
But I love what you're saying about, what a good meeting is, because I was running some clinical meetings last year and we were running them at like 6 p.m. after the girls had done a full
Oh,
day. 6 p.m. we'd have dinner, but they actually loved the meetings. Like they came, they were excited. It was really collaborative. We nutted out some protocols or made some decisions in terms of, so I would like present the information and then we would actually use that information and go, okay, this is what we're going to do with our delivery. And I felt like those meetings, they were at the worst time of the day. Like there was nothing that was really in our favor, but they worked.
mm,
Whereas our other meeting was probably at a more desirable time of the week, a time of day, but the outcome was really different. And I think it was just because, again, like the intention wasn't there and there was no, like, it wasn't that collaborative approach.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, the collaborative approach can only happen if you've got the most relevant topics on the table and
Yeah.
everyone has clarity on what those topics are and how and why they can contribute. So
Yeah.
that probably made a difference as well, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I guess if you're actually, what you've said is really powerful, because if you're doing the meeting well and right, it then shouldn't matter what time
Yeah.
of day it is, because people look forward to that meeting and they are really pumped for it. So then it should work, right?
Yeah. And maybe the other thing was it was a clinical meeting that had my clinical team, not my admin team.
Yeah.
So the right people were in the right meeting.
Yes, that is essential. Having the right people in the right meeting is one key element to successful meetings.
Yeah.
Do not
All
have
right.
people in the meetings if they are not needed to be there. You're wasting
Totally.
their time and your time.
And energy.
Yes.
So can you talk through, or let's both talk through what meetings we do each week, and then we can go through the framework that we do the meetings? Or do you want to
Yeah,
flip it?
well, ours is like the framework, so I'll just do it with
Okay. All right. You talk me
the
through.
thing. So, we preface first, we also do have a clinical meeting for 1 hour every week with our whole team. So that's speechies get together and then also admin get together. Admin call it the admin delegation meeting. So that's one meeting that we have. We have actually deleted our team meeting based on this team structure that we've been implementing for 12 months now, because we found the team meeting was redundant and it was becoming team bonding, which we already do team bonding. So we've taken away our team meeting. So every morning, Monday through to Thursday, we have a huddle, which is for so that's for 30, no, sorry, it's about 20 minutes with the whole team. And then it's 10 minutes huddle with the leadership team, or the executive team, we're calling them this year.
In addition to.
We have our clinical meeting for 1 hour at the same time the admin meet for 1 hour. So then these are the other meetings that we have. So we have our check-ins or our huddles. That's for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, sorry, 20 minutes every day, Monday through Thursday. So first of all, the executive team meet for 10 minutes, just have their quick check-in. It's all the day-to-day little things that you would send by email or send by Teams, we do then. And so we've really had to everyone in a team to get into the habit. I just need to bring that up in the huddle, not send a Teams, because we were finding that admin was sending thousands of team messages every day. Whereas if they just brought it to the huddle, they could have a quick discussion with somebody and move on. And so
Mm-hmm.
also then really worked with our girls to go, okay, don't like bring it up in huddle tomorrow. And because it's a daily thing, it actually flows really well. So that's the first thing that we do. We don't sit down, we all stand up and we break it up. Like we do vary it each week, or each day. Sometimes it's just Hobartville, sometimes it's just Tuggerah. We do a joint one as well throughout the week. Sometimes we will we get on via Zoom, we have big TVs in our lunchroom. So it's like not like a little screen that everyone's looking at.
Yeah.
And sometimes what we'll do is we'll say good morning to each other and then we'll mute each other and then discuss relevant topics to each site so that it's not redundant. So like Hobartville doesn't have to listen to Tuggerah talking about their stuff. But often for admin, it does cross over.
Yeah.
That is just purely admin daily tasks in there. Yeah, daily tasks to keep the ball rolling.
With
Question number
that,
one? Yeah.
what time are you doing? What time, like,
So our team do it at 9:30, I'm pretty sure.
and then do they start seeing clients after that or?
Oh no, they've already started work. So huddle is from 9:30 to 10. So the species actually get a little bit of breathing time in there. So they will use it
Mm.
to plan or like just finish up with their client because the executive team meet for 10 minutes and then we'll meet all together at 9:40 till 10.
Yeah.
So we don't waste time. If we don't need that whole time, then we'll stop the meeting and be like, no one's got anything else? Great, go. Have a great
Yeah.
day. We use it as a bit of a pump up for the team as well, so that they all start their days. And everyone loves it. When we don't have a huddle, you feel lost because
Mm.
you're like, I haven't seen you today. It's a time for everyone to see each other and be present with each other.
Mm. I feel like that's really hard for my team. At Kids Heart Pilates, Northside, I feel like we could do that. Kids Heart Pilates, we're 50% mobile. So
You could do it on your phones.
yeah,
Like I'm now working with another team and they call it stand-ups and they do it over Slack every morning. And
yeah.
everyone just so we've had a few different structures with our huddles. Like initially we came in, everyone reported their top three things they were working on that day. We've just
Mm.
completely changed it now. So it's just ad hoc. Anyone jump
Mm.
in when you can. If you've got something to discuss with somebody or you need to bring something to the table, bring it. A lot of the times
Yeah.
the girls are like, okay, I would like to schedule a clinical for this topic, or I've just come across this new assessment. Bree, can we chat about this? Like it's just backwards and forwards. It's like, oh, admin, I finished this report. Can you send that out? It's a whole bunch of admin stuff
Yeah.
that you could
Yeah.
just literally start your day really well because you've knocked it all over.
Yeah, and I think that reminds me that when you're running efficient meetings, it really should it increase productivity outside of the meeting. So you're not wasting time. Because I remember before, and this is why I really started to revisit the meetings last year, was I felt like there was a lot of just conversation all the time. So one, you just felt like you were talking all the time. And two, you just can't get stuck into deep work. And I was like, right, I've got to do some deep work, bring that up in the meeting. Like, let's have a
Yes.
meeting and bring it up in the meeting. Let's not talk about it all, like just talk constant
Yeah.
narration of everything that's
Yeah.
going on.
So it takes discipline, it takes habit, but we've been doing it for, I'm going to say 12 months or over that now. So everyone's really used to it.
Mm. Yep.
We
Cool.
sometimes have
Love
like
it.
topics for the check-ins that admin will write on the whiteboards each day. Yeah, it's honestly like the team get together that is so invaluable for culture and building a
Yeah.
connection and collaboration and relationships. That has just
Love
been
it.
essential.
Yeah.
The next meeting we have, so with what we call a weekly tactical meeting. So
Yeah.
tactics, it's generally an hour. It's only with the executive team. So that's not even me now because I'm stepped back. So that's Mackie, Bree, and Sal. So the people on the ground who are leading the team. What they do is they review weekly activities and metrics, and we just sort of do a lightning round. So everyone goes around in their first for the first 90 seconds each and talks about what they've been reporting on. Oh, sorry, they report on what they've been working on, any tactical obstacles and issues, and then they say, let's put that into the agenda. So the agenda is not made until everyone reports initially what they're doing
Mm.
for this tactical meeting. Now, the tactical meeting is only to move projects forward. It is not to discuss big ideas. It's not to discuss strategic things, which we'll get to next. It's for basically, these are the projects we're doing. We know that this is aligned with our vision. We know that this is aligned with our goals, and we're just moving them forward, knocking the dominoes over. So, on our, I guess, metrics to review each week. So we, following the book, we have like a one-page sheet which we follow because we came up with 6 metrics that were important for us to report on every week. So for us, it was, like financials. So Michael brings that to the team, to the leadership team. Things like team vibe was important to us to measure. And then everyone will give their opinion. And then what we do is we color code it. So we will say, so say for team vibe, Brie will say green, Michael will say orange, Sal will
Ah,
say orange. And then what we do is then we go, okay, so why is it orange? Quick breakdown. Okay, let's color code that. So we have a sheet or we do it on Canva. Let's color code that. And then do we need to put that on the agenda? Do we need to talk about that further?
gotcha.
And so we have a lot of key metrics like that in the business. And that's then how our agenda is made in those meetings, plus other things. And it's actually so powerful to be in the meeting and to color code your 6 key metrics and be like, whoa, the business is doing really well. Like it's all greens or it's
Oh, yeah.
orange. Or we go, hell, what's happening this week? Like it's a lot of orange and red. And so green is like on track or ahead of progress. Sorry, green is ahead on track. Orange is we've got a few obstacles. Red is it's not happening. And so we can immediately assess and go, okay, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So those we came up with ourselves, like, of what we thought was important to measure. We review that and change it every 3 months if we need to. But it's those tactical obstacles and issues are in that.
Love it. That's so good.
Mm-hmm. After that, then we go to a monthly strategic. So the biggest problem that I read in the book is that it's called this like meeting stew, and you have like one meeting a week and you try and put tactical issues in and strategic issues in. And really and then you put like little admin things in, and it's just this big dump of everything in the business or everything in your head. And that is really difficult for people to switch. If you're using different parts of the brain. With the strategic meeting, what we do is it's topics that we need time to think about, discuss as a leadership team, and process and decide whether we're going to move forward with this topic or not. So we have it scheduled for monthly strategics. You can also have ad hoc strategics, which are basically if something comes up in the business, it's like, right, let's just have a strategic tomorrow, lock it in, put it in.
Yeah.
But having it monthly ensures it does happen. I have found that strategic meetings are a challenge for people, particularly the ones that are on the ground doing the day in, day out tasks, because they have to step away and to think about the vision. And it's not a to-do list meeting. They love the tactical meetings, but the strategic meeting is let's discuss, analyze, brainstorm, decide about critical issues which will affect our long-term success.
Yeah.
We only limit it to 1 or 2 topics, generally just one per meeting. Everyone has to prepare and do the research, and we have an agenda for that meeting beforehand, and we
Yeah.
engage in conflict. So, for example, we are in the process, just trying to think, hang on.
Who is going to your monthly strategic meetings? Is it just your leadership team?
Yes. So executives are at tactical, strategic, and quarterly leadership only.
Yeah.
I guess this would be okay to share on the podcast. So with Speak About Hobartville, we're looking at expanding our site and building that out. So in order for us to actually get so I had the idea, okay, I feel like the space is getting small. There's the back of the clinic, which is outside, which we can enclose. So that's my idea. What I do is I pencil that and I put it into a monthly strategic meeting. So what I had to do is I had to present it to the executives. And so then Michael would weigh in financially and we'd brainstorm it. So then Brie and Sal were like, oh, maybe we could do a sensory space. And it's all invention and wonder. Like, what are the gaps with that? What would the problems be? What would the pros? What would the cons? Should we do this as a business? Because it's a huge financial investment. And so basically at the end of that meeting, after our dissect and brainstorm, we had time. Often in the business, we feel like we don't have time to discuss critical issues. And after that, we were like, okay, we collectively as an executive team are going to make a decision to, yes, move forward on this. As soon as we said yes, then that idea moved into a tactical issue because then Brie and Mackie were executing it and they're executing it now. And so it's just how do we move this project forward? So the only reason that would come back into a strategic decision is if we actually need to decide whether we're going to do it or not do it anymore or hold it. So it's a strategic decision making aligned with our vision and strategic anchors. So we have anchors which just define our decision making as well, which we run through. So we have 3 strategic anchors. So in business, this is a business crash course. In business, you have your vision, and then your strategy is how you will achieve that vision. And your strategy is not a goal. Your strategy is how the people in the business and how your business behaves. And the strategy can change depending on your industry. Like for us as speeches and health professionals, he was sort of saying the strategy would probably change maybe every 3 to 5 years because our industry is quite slow. We're not like a tech industry where our industry is changing rapidly, although it might in the next few years with AI. So our strategic anchors are what the executive team and the wider team have said, this is what will make Speak About successful.
Yeah.
And so we run all of our decisions and that everyone in the team from the AHA 18-year-old admin all the way up to me will run our decisions through those anchors in the business.
Yeah.
But that's our strategy of how we will succeed. So we put the thought that we have through those anchors. We also make sure they align with our values. We have 3 core values in the business, which we have come up with ourselves. And if it's all aligning, then that's fine.
Question. What you said that your monthly strategic, you decide your agenda prior, but you're bringing up new topics. How do you decide your agenda if you're bringing up new?
Generally, they're what we've been feeling in the business. So everyone's across it. Like, for example, the admin have gone, oh, the kitchen's feeling really small. And so then Sal and Brie are like, oh, the girls have said there's some feedback, or we've noticed a trend in the industry that there's sensory spaces popping up because it's good to have that for children.
Yeah.
So then, it sort of makes sense. What is good about it is someone will head up the idea generally. So they will bring their pitch and proposal, and then Michael will bring the financials. Brie will bring the execution, and Sal will bring the wonder, which is what are the pitfalls with that gap. And that's us all working in our genius zones because I'm invention and galvanizing. And so we just pull it apart and we just talk about it. So if I've walked into lots of strategics where I'm like, I have no idea what this issue is, but that's okay because we've got time. And that's what it's about.
And how long are those strategic meetings?
He recommends 2 to 4 hours, but we just do one. because we don't have that amount of space in our diaries, but we find that we only do one topic. So if you had
Yeah.
2 hours, you could do two topics.
Yeah.
The other thing I think to remember is this, your time of meetings varies on the size of your business. So,
Mm.
if you were in a company that had 100 employees and you had different teams reporting to you, and, like, so our team is quite small, we're all across pretty much what is happening most of the time. We're always talking. And we have two sites. If you, like you said, you've got a mobile clinic, or if you had a huge marketing department, a huge HR department, a huge sales department, those heads of department get together and those departments don't know what the other department's been doing. So,
Yeah.
then it might take 2 to 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you've got to really figure out what works for your business based on the size of your business.
Yeah. Cool. And then you said you've got a quarterly.
Off-site meeting.
Yeah.
So that is, he suggests 1 to 2 days. We just do one full day once a quarter. And that is where we review our strategy,
Yeah.
industry trends, competitive landscape. We review team development, key personnel, and we review how we are functioning as a leadership team. So we get out, the main thing is that we get out of the office. We focus on work and limit social activities. So I know a lot of companies, and this is me actually before, I would be like, all right, we're going to get off site. We're going to go do like half a day team bonding. And then we're going
Yeah.
to like do a meeting. And he's like, no, like you've got the meeting to work and discuss and to actually get down into the nitty gritty. Don't use it for team bonding. Like don't use that precious time for team bonding. Meetings should be productive. So that's why we then do team bonding separately, or I'll do it. So we have like a really nice lunch and we've got nibblies and things like that. But yeah, it's purely focused on work.
Yeah.
Um, we don't overstructure or overburden the schedule,
Yeah.
but we do have a set agenda for I circulate probably 2 to 3 weeks before, and then
Mhm.
people can add in what they want. But the structure for the most part is quite similar because we're not doing day-to-day type things. We're zooming out of the business and looking
Yeah.
at things. And so if your quarterly leadership meeting is done well, what it does is it provides opportunities to improve or like accelerate decision making, and
Mhm.
improve execution on the day to day, because you know where you're going, you know how you'll succeed, what the focus is as our team, where the team is, where we are like as a leadership team, and where the industry is.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that it does is it allows people to feel empowered and have initiative to do things without having to check in because you've already talked about it. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of really important.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
from that meeting, if anything strategic comes up, so say, I mean, this is probably more me, I'm very bad at this, is I'll have a big idea. Everyone goes, table it to strategic, table
mm,
it to strategic. And I think it's really good having monthly strategics because for someone like me who I'm invention, I have a new big idea every
yeah,
hour, and it's just impossible to execute all that. So having a monthly strategic meeting limits it to one big idea a month,
yeah,
which is more realistic for everyone in the team to actually execute and do and see through to completion. But it's very it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice to be, when people bring up issues, to be like, that's a tactical, that's a strategic, that's a quarterly leadership meeting, that's a daily huddle. And so I feel
yeah,
like that's been my role for a lot of the last 12 months, is you're not correcting people, but you're helping people discern when is appropriate to bring up what issue and
yeah.
how and when.
And again, that comes back to that, like what is the definition of a good meeting or what is a good meeting? And I think it's bringing up the relevant topics in that time and space when you're all talking and thinking in that format. So I think that that is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. So I think what I do is not it's not as kind of organized and as clear, but I feel like I'm on the right track. And my team's not as big as yours. Like I don't have an executive team. So I think I just wanted to bring that up as well. Like
Mm.
I do a quarterly offsite by myself.
Yep. Yep.
And I will do a monthly strategic by myself.
Hmm.
The weekly tactical is probably more my weekly operations. Um, I do not do a huddle. That's always been something that I've heard so much of, but it's just not something that I have got in there. But I'm feeling motivated to do that because you are talking so highly about it. But I think for me, I do like an admin/operations meeting once a week. I will do, and in that, we'll talk about the schedule, the team, tracking, so leads, dashboards, numbers, and things like that. I have one-on-one mentoring with my team, which I've got a bunch of new grads. So, and at Kids Hut Pilates, I'm leading that. At Northside Allied Health, my leadership team is leading that. And that's where we're really mentoring. So we're listening to, what they're struggling with. We're directing them where they can find resources and just really listening to them. Then I have got a leadership strategy meeting in there. And I've got a monthly whole team in there at the moment. That was one that we thought about taking off the table, but we've moved it from weekly to monthly. And then I've got quarterly clinical, which you've got weekly clinical, which
Yeah,
is
this is, sorry, I should also say that this is for our executives. We also then have
yeah,
like one-on-ones, mentoring. We have all then that new grad, like there's a lot of meetings.
yeah,
This is just for running the business.
yeah,
Then put working meetings in. So
yeah,
sometimes then two people need to meet together to do a project. So
yeah,
then we added that one. So we have working meetings, we have all the clinical meetings, one-on-ones, that type of thing
yeah,
as well.
yeah, which you're not involved in your teams, right?
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And coaching, we
Um,
have coaching as well, which I do.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
there's so many meetings.
yeah, there are so many. But again, if you come back to if it is an effective meeting,
Mm,
then it should decrease the amount of conversation in day to day, which when you're doing it, and I think this is where what I was finding when I didn't have really effective meetings was there was so much conversation day to day and no one was documenting it. No one knew who was responsible for what because it was just conversation. Like it was just like it wasn't kind of concrete. There was no
was it
agenda.
moved into action? Was it
Exactly. There was no, and then at the end of it, and that's why I brought in that, okay, this needs to be in the meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, we go over the main points, we go over the action items. I put that in writing. So it's very, very clear as to what's going to happen after this meeting, who's accountable for it, a time frame, like just coming back to that delegation piece. So I think, that's what I'm kind of learning. I'm not quite to where you're at, but that is, and I think, like I don't, I feel like I'm only just really getting into having a leadership team.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's kind of like, it's just trying to find,
yeah,
and I do some of that on my own, but it's about
yeah,
having
and
the time and space,
that's
right?
completely fine. Me and Mackie used to then have an upper executive meeting, I guess, so to speak, and then I would also do my own as well
Mm,
because I just felt like I needed clarity for myself,
mm,
across all the businesses that I have, and then me and
mm,
Mackie would do it for our businesses, but then also personally. And I've been encouraging Bree to do that since she's become managing director. We're not just work, it's you have to, when you're in a role that requires so much energy and time and emotion, you need to make sure your personal life is aligned with what you're doing at work. So it sort of goes hand in hand with planning, which you know that, Lizzie. So,
yeah,
there are those higher level things as well. But that's, I think each to their own how your business is structured, what you need, and
yeah,
how you like to work probably as well. The only thing I would say is that like you said, it's important to have a strong start and a strong finish. It's important to have someone who's leading the meeting. With
mm,
huddles, we generally have someone who is the spokesperson, like for leading it and getting it kicked off, but then everyone just jumps in when they want to. But
mm,
with those other ones, it's important to have someone who's just a guide who knows, the time and things like that. It's also important to wrap up the meeting well, like you're saying. And
mm,
so that is about communication and so it's there's 2 points with that. The first point is so reviewing the action points and everyone's responsibilities and everything and next steps at the end of the meeting. But then the second part of that is what part of this needs to be communicated to the team? Who's going to be responsible for that and how is that? And that's a principle called cascading communication. And so
Mm.
that's what we found last year. We were doing really well, which was finishing the meetings well. So you have to allow 5 minutes at the end as well. Normally you think, let's keep talking to the last couple of minutes. 5 minutes at the end to recap, make sure action steps are clear. But then we then were finding that I would tell the team something in a coaching session and then they didn't know. And then I was like, hang on, like, and so then I came across the principle of cascading communication, which is just
Mm.
having a delegation who, how, and what. And so because some things we wouldn't tell the team until it's, maybe a month later because of whatever reason we're sorting through things. So that's a really key step, particularly the bigger your team gets, because the worst thing that can destroy trust is if someone comes in and is like, have you heard this? And someone's like, no, I haven't heard that. What's happening here? And then that's miscommunication, assumptions. People go, well, why wasn't I told that? So we're
Mm.
very
Mm.
careful on that now.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think that's really, really effective. The other thing that I have been doing or finding that I need to do is like setting aside time to follow up from what we've discussed in the meeting to look at action items because it's like we've got
Mm,
all these action items and then if there's no time to action them, it's
yes.
like a waste of time. Like the whole
Yeah.
thing is a waste of time.
So that's where your working meetings come into play. So
Mm.
that's when Brie and Sal will be like, okay, can we set a working meeting to actually work through these things together?
Yeah.
Or I always have scheduled in my diary, if I have a coaching session with someone, my work after that is to send them any resources they need, to type up the progress notes. I always leave 15 minutes of working time after that. So with any meeting, Sal does that now too. She has a time of half an hour to action points from the meeting.
Yeah.
So it's not just the meeting itself. It's if you need to plan beforehand, like for our strategic, half an hour beforehand, meeting, half an hour, or whatever, however time you need at the end after, or set a
Yeah.
working meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
'cause on Tuesdays, I've got back-to-back meetings. Like I'm like literally
yeah.
back-to-back meetings. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna
Yeah.
like I've got it all documented, but how do I actually, remember what like I have to really make sure I'm taking good notes. I need to
Mm.
delegate the note taking, really.
Note taking is good. Like you can use lots of AI tools for that now, or voice memos or dictations. That type of thing is really good. We always take minutes, but our meetings, like, so the point of meetings is to make them as productive as possible. So we don't send an email around with points after
Mm.
because it's the team's responsibility to take their own tasks and to do that. And that's just wasting time when you've all met together. Everyone should be on the same page and have complete clarity walking out of that meeting. And that's a task that you've just said you don't have oodles of time.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
the point of the meeting is that you should be able to walk out and execute or be empowered to make decisions because that was a productive meeting.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna
So,
go put it into my schedule.
well, I hope that's been helpful. I do
Yeah,
like
so
it.
helpful. And I've ordered the book. I just
Oh,
ordered it
good.
while you're
Yes. So
talking.
that is, yes, we will put the book in the show notes below. So it's Death by Meeting by Patrick Lencioni. The other one I would say is the 5 dysfunctions of a team, because these
Mm.
meetings only work well if you've got trust, conflict, like we talked about, and commitment and accountability. So you need both. Um,
And the advantage.
yes, the advantage is for strategy, like I talked about, because
Your anchors.
I think I read the 5 dysfunctions of a team first. We started doing that. And I was like, how do we bring all this together? So then I read Death by Meeting. And then in Death by Meeting, I was like, in our strategic meetings, there's got to be more meat to this. I feel like our strategic meetings need to be guided. That's when I read The Advantage. And we then developed our business structures, and then that has guided everything. So it all plays into each other. I would say
Mm.
that this was a period of learning over 2 years. So you're not going to go and knock it out tomorrow. It's a
Yeah.
lot to digest. It's a lot to then implement with your team. But if you haven't started, start now. Start small, little steps each day. The whole goal is that you can actually effectively reach your goal without burning out and with good, clear communication and running a solid business. Um, Without having all these little admin things, it actually makes relationships a lot more effective. People can talk about the weekend. People can talk about their burning clinical questions, or, it actually leaves space for people then to develop and be friends. So it is worthwhile doing.
Love that.
So if you have any more questions, hit me up on a DM. Happy to walk through. And maybe Lizzy, we can do like a revisit in like 3 months and go,
I
where
was
are you
thinking
at?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for people, because I feel like that's very relatable to everybody. We always have big goals, but like, it's good to hear how someone else is going.
Yeah, totally. My mission this year is just to get organized and a little
Yeah.
bit more, yeah, structured around all of this stuff and be really clear. And I feel like this is because I've done the advantage and I've done the 5 dysfunctions of a team. And now I'm like, right, I need to up level my meetings.
Yes. And it's just a fable. Like it's a story. It's such a good read. Like it's so easy to read. It's
Mm.
not just a dry book. But yeah, if you have more questions, I would encourage you to read the books. I think the main thing is if you find something to work in your business, go, why? There must be a better way to do this and figure it out. And it's always learning, always growing. What I'm doing now, I'll probably have changed it in 12 months because we've learned more and grown more. So we'll leave it there for our episode. If you have any more questions, hit us up. We will be back next week in your ears with a new topic. If you have burning questions or topics which you would like us to discuss, send us a DM or an email with those. Until next time, have a lovely week and we will see you next week.
Bye.